to talk about something that hurt. I didn't know what was worse, that or the switch. I think I would have rather. Hey, there's Coach. Hey, Coach. I'm so glad you got my message. Oh my goodness, because um, let me get you in here. Uh, I don't know what happened to the. He would pop in if he was going to try. He wasn't for sure because I know when I talked to him, it kept switching off and on. But that's how my mother was. My mother was a very tactical individual. Um, but these are now the titles that is laid up on us by society is you're going to do it one, these are the three things. They're going to try their best to stop the discipline in the home. We look at all of the stuff that's going on today. We look at how the young parents are raising their kids and how the wheel just keeps turning backwards instead of forward. Uh, it's be friend or be damned. I just had to say it. I just had to say it. And I can understand Z's point in her article when they said when she says the way you discipline your children and what works better for your family is entirely up to you. And I get it. Really, I do. I get it. What's up, Coach?
Hey, Uncle Joe. Hey, First Lady.
Hi.
How you been?
I've been good, thank you.
Oh, great, great. Hey, Coach, was you with us on our first episode when we talked about this subject?
No, I was not. That's why I wanted to listen a little bit to hear what you guys were saying.
Oh, yeah. We're doing. We had last subject, and the head sponsor in charge ain't even here. I'm gonna call him and get on him because I just talked to him this morning. Uh, we're talking about has parents gotten too soft? And we're talking about this generation. And this is a continuation from our first conversation that we had with this has parents going. This is, we had so much request that to do a part two of this because it was so much more that we needed to talk about and that we needed to bring out to try to help this younger generation to see and to understand the difference between discipline and abuse and how they are raising, how are children being raised today? Not so much versus how we used to be raised, but how are they raising them today? And get some of the perspective from the younger generation who are parents
Mm.
and how they're raising their children because things have gotten so far, Coach. Things have gotten so far out of hand
Oh, that
to
I
where
agree.
you just you. I mean, you can't even go out now and say anything to a young parent about raising the child, or you can't even say anything to the child without getting cussed out.
Mm.
It's just there is no discipline, there is no training, and we get it. We understand that there's not a manual that comes with this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I get what Z Mata is saying here in this article, and I get what she is saying. I know you missed the first part of it, but we're the second part of her article. After telling us a couple of things on how to get a handle on some of their kids. Like back in her opening, she started out with the horror of a screaming child throwing tantrums, and out in the middle of a supermarket or subway or on an airplane, and we talked about, how one of her friends felt that it was better if she be her child's friend instead of her child's parent.
Mm.
And then we were just getting into the portion, after talking a little bit about our history. We were just getting into the portion of, she starts this second part out with the way you discipline your children, and what works best for your family is entirely up to you. But if you are a softie
Mm.
like her friend, and think you can use little encouragement or guidance, and then she gives another portion there, that she gives some pointers on, that she, that looks at, and that's what got me stuck there, because when I saw those pointers, it was
Mm.
almost as, okay, I need to bribe you. Who that sound like? Huh? Who that sound like? I need to bribe you to get you to do what I want you to do. Who that
Mhm.
sound like? Your boss.
Mm.
your your little 4-year old boss. we, I don't see. I don't know, Coach. Help me.
Well, I honestly think that there's no one shoe fits all. That's what I always say. For example, I have two sons who are totally different. And according to their age, there was a place where I was comfortable with using a cane. But then it depends with what understanding is there. Where are they in life? Now that one of them is a teenager, there is absolutely no way I would use a cane. Now he can reason like an adult. So instead of using a cane, I use examples like, okay, this is what you're going to do. If this is what you want to do, these are the consequences. Now, what I don't think people get is, where do we draw the line between soft parenting and friendship? Because I strongly do not believe that we can be friends with our kids. And even a good friend should be in a position to tell you, well, this is wrong and these are the consequences. I'm going to be with you, but you have to face the consequences. So where is that line is never clear with most of us, if not all of us.
Why? Whoa! I tried to turn the mic up so they could hear you over
Oh.
on Facebook, and the rest of them, so they could hear your response. But then I forgot to turn my phone down and get off.
Oh. Oh.
That's what caused the big squeal.
Okay.
Uh, why do you think that is, though? Why do you think it's hard for them to
Well,
get it?
mainly we have trauma. It goes back to my childhood, our childhood. That's what influences how we respond to our current situation. If I was traumatized, and believe me, a bigger percentage of us were, I will try so hard either to protect my child from that or to do the exact same thing to them. Unfortunately, that's how our brains function.
Okay, y'all forgive me. I'm trying to set it up to where I can get both mics to pick up the audio from TikTok, so that they'll be able to hear you on the other streaming networks.
Okay, but did you
But
catch
I
what I
couldn't
said?
pick them out of the main speaker.
Okay.
Um, and I guess I see the point.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I guess I guess it's still a struggle in uh, pointing to them. Andrea says trauma response. Uh,
Yes. Of course, it's a struggle because most of us have not even dealt with our trauma because it's our comfort zone. That's all we know. So we don't even know that we're not conscious that we need to work on it. Therefore, um, for example, okay, let me give another example with my children. I honestly think I got them before maturing enough. And they had to face some of the consequences of my mistakes, right? I mean, I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago, let alone 14, 15 years ago. So just that by itself influenced strongly my parenting skills. So if I was to get another child at this point, then I would know, okay, this is what I need to deal with in myself for me to be a better person for this human. And that's why, as we go on, even if you choose to be friends with your child, you need to be that friend who is a true friend, which most of us still don't know what a good friend means. Because I've seen people believing strongly that a friend should not tell you no, or a friend should not call you out. So I think that's where we make a big mistake. Because if I'm not ready to tell my child no, or okay, these are the consequences, and sometimes the consequences go as far as, okay, well, you stole, yeah, okay, go to the police, you have to be in there for a couple of days. Those are the consequences. I'm sorry, but I'm going to be right here when you come out. Most of our parents, most of this generation, we cannot do that. We're not there. We're like, even I'm seeing even schools, when you call a parent to tell them your child fought with someone else, the first reaction is mostly, so what did the other person do to my child? I'm like, what? How?
right.
Why? Why don't you say, okay, what was he doing? What was the antecedent? You know, like, get to understand what triggered your child to that position. That's to me, that's preparing them for the future. Because if I fight on their behalf, then I'm not giving them the skills to
Okay.
to face life for tomorrow. But most people don't see that. Most people look at it as, I'm protecting my child, and that's it. So I think that's the biggest difference.
Okay. And it's funny that you mentioned it or that you put it in that way because I just got through fighting a battle with my grandson
Mhm.
and his school and what those that was one of the main keys that I had in order to get myself to get my point over to get my point across
Mhm.
is you're telling me, you know, about his behavior and you're telling me the things that he has done, but with me as a good parent, as a, you know, even as a grandfather,
Mhm.
well, my first concern and my first thought was, okay, what did the other, what happened that made him act the way he acted? That part you're not telling me.
Mm.
Does that make, you know, and then I had to, does that make me a good parent or a bad parent? I mean, am I focusing on the right thing, or or should I be focusing on something else?
Well, if you were asking my mother that question, she would totally say, whip him first and then ask him, why did you react that way? But, but in this generation here and now, I strongly believe that that's being a good parent, wanting to know, okay, why did he respond like this? What was he responding to? As opposed to, what did the other child do to him? Like already, if I asked what did the other child do to him, that means my child is right and I'm going to protect him at all cost. So if a person responds that way or reacts that way, then you already know, okay, defense, so we're not going to get anywhere. But if you ask, okay, what triggered him? How did it get to this point? Then that is to say, okay, how can I work with you? You know? And
Right.
just by those two, that difference, I think it makes a whole perception is everything. That's what I keep saying. Perception is everything. That makes a whole difference according to me.
Andrea says she wants all the information.
Yes. But the question is, how do my response to the person who called me first as a parent, that will determine how the other person responds to me. Of course, I want the information, but if you come to me with a defensive, from a defensive position, then believe me, the information I'm going to give you will be more sifted than if you came to me, okay, how can I support this situation? How can I support you to make things better? We're still probably trying to communicate the same thing, but in a different way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes that to me that makes perfect sense because I guess that's what my whole thing was uh, looking at myself as a parent and what I seen, Coach,
Mhm.
is I see too many parents go in and just accept what the institution have to say. Uh, if they say you know you were wrong, and it's pretty much as if they're throwing it back at you,
Mhm.
is that, well, if you had a taught them different, it's just like one of the things that here's what one of the panelists said
Mhm.
is it said to my grandson, well, your behavior here at school carries outside to society.
Mhm.
And if you don't learn how to get it right here in school, don't nobody out there in society care about how angry you get, how mad you get, how upset you get. They don't care anything about that.
Mhm.
And then she said, and you have to learn these things in order to survive in society.
Mhm.
Well, here is my thing, and this is the response I gave her. I said, well, we teach them the best that we can at home under your new laws of discipline, because of the way you had, society, the lawmakers have made it up uh, concerning, discipline, mental, physical, and verbal. I said, so you don't want me to teach him there. I said, but here's the thing. You're trying to tell him on how he needs to behave here to behave in society while you're trying to push him out the door. Don't you think that you should be focusing more on educating him in there than so much to help him? I mean, to educate him in there to help him to better himself out there
Mhm.
instead of throwing it back on the parents. This is why we send. This is why we send them there. Do that make because of that? Do that make us soft?
I don't think that makes us soft, but what I'm hearing is, why are we being defensive? Because the first thing, if I am a school counselor and I actually called you because your child did this, what I would want to hear is, okay, are you willing for me to help? Are you willing to work with us for this? With this, and how do we do it together as a team to support this child? However, if from a parent's perspective, if the person told me exactly what that person told you, I'll be like, hold on. If my child had all these skills, then they would not need to be in school, right? Because they're in school to learn education and life skills. So we're here to help each other. So don't blame me because of what I'm doing. It's we're in school to learn. So how do we teach the child? So how does this, another thing is, how does the child learn best? Because how you train one child is totally different from how you train the other one for it to actually stick. One deals with, will respond well to consequences. The other one will respond to being scolded and feeling guilty. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate, but it's true. Like, people respond to different things. Even children respond to different things. So if we do not
You
know,
must have read this article.
I would love to read it.
Cause there's some of these are some of what you're saying now in her article. She points out all of this. I'll DM you her name,
Okay.
and you can go. But she points out just what you're saying there, because one of the biggest things in that is, and I guess what it revolves back to is, the law has changed so much about parenting, is that a lot falls back on the parenting. Well, we know a parent's behavior
Mhm.
all falls back on the parents. Agree or disagree?
Um, I disagree.
Okay.
And this is because I have seen people, children with undiagnosed um, conditions that go until they're, I don't know. You look at their files and they're adults now, or almost that age, and nobody really diagnosed anything, and you can clearly see some things which prevents a child from understanding exactly what they're being told or what they're being teached. So such a person, it's not the child. I would actually blame the either the school or the doctors. So it's really because most parents don't have this
That's
education
interesting.
knowledge.
I like the way you put that.
Mhm.
Uh, Kind of had a tingle, like a little bell go off upstairs. Why don't you say that again?
I don't know which part you want me to say again.
Because I mean, I've heard it put many ways, but never the school or the
Mhm.
doctor.
Yes,
Uh,
because
but
as a school teacher,
but not the parents. That
exactly.
that's
The
that's
see if I'm teaching any child, then I have this education. Even if it's not the perfect, at least I know developmental stages. I know the psyche of a child, what to expect. And if I have a guideline to behaviors to expect and probably skills to use to streamline this person's perspective of life from these ages. As a doctor, same thing. They know how to use DSM-5 for diagnosis. They know how to, you know, look at to see all these red flags. As a parent, most of us don't have that. We don't know what to look for. We barely even have the time, because when I come home, the child is tired, I'm tired. We want to go to sleep. So most of the times they spend in the hospital. I mean, in school. So if in school they don't give me this heads up and tell me, okay, we think you should do this, we think you should do this, then how will I know as a parent? I mean, everybody who lives in America already knows how hard it is, that you have to work how many hours a week. And if you have a child, what time are you left with that child, you know, to teach them the skills in this form of details? That's my opinion. I'm not saying it's right, but that's my opinion.
So is it safe for me to say that with this generation, well, before I say that, give me your insight
I
on
Mhm.
this generation parenting.
I think we are very misinformed in this generation, and f- I strongly believe that we should teach parents, or we should have taught kids from the previous generation to work from inside out, like fix myself first, um, work on how to think of myself, then everything else I do externally will show the outcome. If we were brought up that way, which in Africa, by the way, that's mostly how we're taught. Like, work on yourself first, just work on yourself. Then, when you go out there, since you already know exactly who you are, it's easier for you to navigate life. But the difference with this generation is we're a microwave generation. We want everything in 2 seconds. 2 minutes. I want my child to be good, and we forget that behavior is learned and learned and relearned, you know? And this, until a child is about 21 years, these behaviors will vary until it actually forms, you know, as a personality. So, yes, I think we lost a ball in raising our generation right, and our kids are facing the consequences now. And if we don't do something with our kids right now, it's only bound to get worse from here on.
So I'm hearing the old way is still the best way.
For me, I think it's better than what we have right now. Is it the right way? I'm not so sure, because even they made mistakes. Like Sita is saying the exact truth. Most parents, I was lucky that my mom used, you know, I love you and I care about you. Even if you did wrong, I love you, but you have to face the consequences. So I knew at the back of it, okay, she loves me, but yeah, I messed up, so the consequences are mine. Not most people know that. Most people don't know what love is, and they don't know how to give it.
One of the questions that just came across was so many kids don't understand a hug.
True. There is a lot of this reminds me of just making a line at Dunkings. How when you're standing behind a young person, just try and observe this from now on, if you've not seen it. When you're standing behind a young person and you're standing behind an older person, you will see the young person will be fidgety and uncomfortable, and sometimes they would even tell you, you're too close, you know. An old person, when you get that close, they'll be like, oh, good morning, how you doing, you know. Like,
Right.
l- love, simple communication is different now. If it's not behind the screen, then they don't know how to respond to it.
Hmm. Okay. What do y'all think about that? Come on. I know y'all got questions that is running through your minds. Sidamon, that was very good. Thank you for that there. Um, we as we've been talking about, and Coach has mentioned some things. Now, Coach, I want to get your insight, and I want to get your viewpoint on how do I let me see how do I put it, uh,
Don't
not
want to
not
say it.
cultural,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the way that our younger generation, our young generation of parent, one of the reasons, and let me say this, okay, when you sit your children beside a screen, then don't learn how to receive what
Affection.
affection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we were taught we oh God, I just lost my train of thought. That's all your fault. See, looking
How,
at you, looking at you pimping over there through the screen. Kind of got my
may I respond to Andrea before you
yes.
get
Come
your?
on, yeah. While I get my train of thought back,
Yes.
that boy, that's something.
Um, so Andrea, I agree with you, but if I was not taught how to give affection or what affection is, how am I supposed to give my child affection? You have to spend time with your children, but how realistic is it? Like the biggest percentage of parents right now are divorced. Let's just start there, which means you have extra bills to pay. You have stress because there's a push and pull. Then you have a job or two you're doing, and then your mental status isn't even what it's supposed to be for you to be, healthy enough to take care of another person, let alone yourself. So how am I supposed to give what I don't have to my child?
That's a good question.
Hmm.
Okay. So what was your experience, Andrew?
Ooh, I'm sorry for your
And,
loss.
and while they're reading those comments over there, here's what I'm gonna do.
Mhm.
Because we had to hook things the way we had to hook them, and I wasn't able to bring anybody in from the Podbean, I mean from the VMUC side, which gives those connections. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the live taping from the TikTok portion, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I know it's going to be automatically uploaded, but I will switch it out, and I'm going to edit, and I'm going to put this version up. This way, you guys can hear all of the conversation, both from Coach K. I know you guys can hear me, and then this way, you guys can get the fullness of the broadcast. Okay. All right, Coach, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Andrea, consider yourself very lucky because a bigger percentage of people who get divorced now, most of them, there's always one child, one parent who doesn't want the other to see the children. So there's bitterness, there's push and pull. And we tend to forget that this is affecting our children. So the child mostly will overreact or misbehave, as we call it. in an attempt to, to ask for attention. And a child will ask for attention either negatively or positively. It's still attention. It's still communicating something. And statistics show that the bigger percentage of people who are divorced, there's always that one person who's pulling the children away from one spouse, unfortunately.
Yeah, you know, I'm letting Coach take the show, y'all. I'm sitting back looking at comments. Uh,
Sita,
and
I'm
trying
so
to find
sorry for
that
your
thought
loss.
I lost back there.
Sita, I'm so sorry for your loss. That's not an easy thing. I don't know whether Uncle Joe, you know this about me, but I also consider myself as losing my children because I don't live with them. And unfortunately, I am one of the statistics that their biological father does not allow me to see them. So it's also a loss, you know. So the grieving process is very similar. And yes, is it affecting the children? Of course it is. Is it better than it should have been? Who knows? It probably would have gotten worse at some point, right? Thank you, Andrea. Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys knew Coach's story and how she came to exist here in the United States and her children, you will see why I asked her to. Hey, I said it right for the first time. Wow, man, I'm proud of myself to come on the broadcast. And y'all remember in the beginning, I said it's right up her alley because she can identify with with this in real time.
Hmm.
Uh, and when I say real time, I mean up to date time. I know a lot of times under y'all know, well, all of us baby boomers, we talk about when we were there, and we try to compare that with our now existing parents and the difference, and then we try to look at, well, where did the law go wrong? Should they or shouldn't they not have interfered in the area of home discipline? There's many factors, variables that has, in my opinion, and Coach, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that has thrown us into a world spin to where it makes now parenting even tougher. Uh, are we tired of fighting and we just become soft and say, okay, we're going to do it because the law says it? So, did the law make us relax or did we make ourselves relax? Like you said, Coach, somewhere along the line, and we're trying to identify it, where did it jump off the rail? That's
Uh,
why we need
I,
to have.
my question really is, is it the law or is it us misinterpreting the law? Because I think the law was trying to avoid the children being, being beaten up to, death, which I researched a little bit about this. And there were quite a number of cases where children were being killed in the name of discipline. And so the law came in to try and lessen that number. So is it us misinterpreting the law, or is it the law being too harsh on this? Because I think there's still a way of disciplining these children, but I don't like to call it a soft parenting, because believe me, it's not always that I'm soft, but if
Right.
I reason out with them, and I think it's just skills that we need, different skills, and we need to understand what the law and how to apply this law to our children.
And I look at it when I look at it and I see the way that the law is structured uh, when it comes to discipline and abuse.
Mm.
It's like I was saying earlier. It don't take a rocket scientist or a degree to know the difference between abuse and discipline. Is it necessary to make it into a law to where, and to give an example to that, is when they passed it, the first place that it really kind of took the platform and took off was in the school system. My daughter come home and said, "Daddy, is it true that it's abuse with the way somebody talks to us, or somebody spank us, or what was that other thing, honey? Uh, I know it came down to mental, physical, and verbal, and I get it, but I don't get it, because I clearly see, and I don't know if it's the old school in me, Coach, but I clearly see that the law went a little too far with their definition, and as far as removing it from the home.
Well,
And then First Lady, she said she has something she wants to.
okay.
I want just something that.
Well, just let Coach do that, and then you can take this chair,
It's just a thought.
and then you can take this chair and you can go for it. Go ahead, Coach.
So this is my perspective. So if have you ever seen when you're really hungry, Joe? And how do you respond to people when you're really hungry and you want food? Actually, you need food, but you can't find it, and people are asking for your attention. How do you get?
Honestly, Coach, that's hard. That's a hard question for me to answer.
Mm-hmm.
I know you probably got an easier way for it, because, and I say, and I honestly say that uh, it's because I never been in that position.
Oh, okay.
Uh, we we were poor
Mm-hmm.
growing up, but we had more support then than what they have now.
True.
We had the Salvation Army. We had other uh, state OIC. We had a lot of support then that helped the families with who were struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't. I'll be lying if I tell you that I went a night without food.
Mm. You are very lucky.
I know I can say from seeing someone else struggle with that, I can honestly say it hurts me.
Mhm.
And I believe the reason it hurts me, and I say this because while I was in Afghanistan, I see I've seen how children had to scramble through rubbish,
Yep.
through garbage,
Mhm.
and we see it here, even in the United States. But it hit home, and it hit it. Reality hit when I saw it there, uh, of the poverty that these kids had to suffer, and it wasn't because over there. I guess it would be hard for me to compare it to what we're talking about tonight, because over there, uh, it was it was without choice,
Yes. Yes.
that they had to suffer what they had to suffer, versus over here we have a choice. We have the ability, capability of stopping child hunger.
Yeah,
And
true. So where I was trying to head with that was when any kind of human being is put to stress or strain, then they become agitated or angry or aggressive or however you want to call it. They become aggressive. So look at it from a perspective of um, this couple who have to work 2 to 3 jobs just to make ends meet, and they come home, and even if they're together, they're not agreeing with each other. They have to come home, do homework with the children, then they have to be present at their work the following day, and then this child comes in and does something wrong. I mean, as a human being, that's a lot to handle, right? It's a lot. So you would not expect, it's not rocket science to know when I'm being abusive, but if my brain is already pushed to the wall, then I'm not seeing when I'm being abusive. That's what most people don't see it. I mean, you have to have experienced this kind of abuse to understand that this person did not know that he or she was abusing this person. They did not understand. They were reacting according to where their headspace then. So, back to what you said, it's not rocket science. You don't need a degree to know that true, but you need your mind to be at a certain level for you to actually understand it. And most of us now, this day and age, we don't have the luxury to be there.
hmm, hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Andrea. This is We need to have more of these discussions, because when we turn and when we look at today's society, and we look at how this generation is spinning out of control with disciplined behavior, we need to have these discussions to find out, okay, what can we do to change, to rectify, or how do we reach? How do we get to getting ourselves back to the village mode? Or are we too past the village mode, that uh, uh, that we're just a society that's just lost, and a parenting system that is almost domesticated? Come on, First Lady. Come on. You got your uh, First Lady taking over with her questions.
Yep. Welcome, First Lady.
Hi, how everyone doing?
Good, good, good. I'm doing good.
As I was sitting back
Mhm.
listening
Mhm.
to the answers and the questions, not one question come up about how I said young parenting reason they are so friendly with their children. And you got to remember this generation, a generation before, had kids at a really young age. And when the law passed that I am able to live on my own, that kind of gave that child a way of freedom. Because the girl that had the baby, say 14, 15 years old, when it turned 16, I moved out on my own. But I didn't stay home long enough to learn anything how to be a parent,
Mhm.
how to love a child. All I just want to be out there on my own. Uh, I say that's why so many children um being mistreated because first of all, mama don't know no better.
Mhm.
And second of all, to think of, oh, if I be my child friend, we'll get along better. No, because it got to be some discipline in the home. Reason I'm saying that, because I know, a child. Um, most back in our days or nowadays, some of nowadays will the mother and the father would take that child on and let that child go on and get her education and whatever need in order to support her and that child. But there's many not doing that. It's, I didn't have it. You get on out with your baby. But like I said, I am not that type of mother because my daughter had her first child at 16. And I'm a mother for education. She thought she was going to quit school just like the other girls did. Oh no, I didn't believe in that. You either go or you get a job, but you're going to go to school and finish your education. So first she thought it was harsh because I made her went to school pregnant. Why be ashamed? You was pregnant. Yeah, you're not the only one. But then she saw several of them dropping out of school. She thought she should drop out of school. I said, no, you're going to go and get your education because when this child grow up, you're going to need to know how to educate her. So therefore, she went on to finish high school. She finished college, and I can say my daughter's very immature of being a mother because I was that mother. You understand? Uh, her and her oldest daughter seem like they best of friends. But now when she get upset, to me, she over punish. And I have to step in. Then that's when she say, well, Mom, you always taking up for my daughter. How can I do that? I said, reason I'm stepping in because you didn't take time to learn what I was trying to teach you. You always got an attitude. So after she got about 25 or 27 years old, she realized when she started getting out into the world doing how teaching and seeing how the other kids are raised. She came back and thanked me and said, "Ma, I'm so glad you didn't let me do what the rest of them did, because they was telling me, oh, you can get out your parent house and get on welfare." No, welfare is there for a reason, a need. You had a mother and a father can help take care of you and your child. So she stayed kind of angry with me because I didn't want that and didn't want she to be raised on welfare. I'm not above welfare because there's a need for it. But if someone can do and help you, take the help and learn from it, because I had 7 children to raise, work 12 hours a day. Surely I come in tired, like we said in the beginning, I come in tired. Mom, such and so done did something. I said, well, what do you do? I didn't do nothing. I said, well, you have to do something, because you can't do it all by yourself. So I get both of the kids together, and you got to tell me your side, and she got to tell me her side. And so according to what they done, it was according to the punishment. I believe in spanking, spare the rod, spoil a child. I believe in taking things away that you really like for just such a period of time. And I believe in, you know what? You're going to have to think about this, because I'm going to get you for old and new. So that means that I'm not going to spank you or punish you at that time. But when you unexpectedly, I will punish you. So that's how I kind of raised my children. I didn't believe in spanking all the time. I didn't believe in, punishing. My girls and I, we had Girls' Day. We had, each one had a day, had a Saturday. That's when I was off. Each one had a little restaurant they had to go. We go to. We laugh, we joy, we talk, and we had a roundabout table. You sit down and tell mom and dad what's on your mind. You won't get in trouble. You tell mom and dad what's on your mind. And then that's what mom and dad know where to look to see what the problem is. But yet and still, they don't know that when they're sitting around about the table. Or it could have been, well, Mom, you didn't do such and so and so. So then that's when I can say, well, oh, I'm sorry. I'm a first-time mother, just like you're a first-time. This is my oldest child. I'm a first-time teenage mother, just like you're a first-time teenager. Moms make mistakes too. I am sorry. So that's what things I've done like that. And I just think that if so many young kids are having babies today and knowing that they can get on welfare and get out and get their own apartment and not taking time to learn how to raise a child. So my mother, she raised us. She loved us. She played with us. And which, she would stay home mom. But that number one thing was when you come home from school, you get your lesson out. That's the first thing. So I guess that's why I'm so gigged up on education. So after that, get your chores and things done. Once the chores is done, the rest of the day is yours. Do what you need to do, long as You get home before the street light come on. So, it's a lot of things in being parenting. And like my husband say, when the law that we learned in Connecticut, taking that away, spanking a child in your home. Now, if your child reported that, oh, my mom spanked me or my daddy spanked me, oh, the police knocking on your door. But see, that gave the child an upper hand because now you're afraid. But like I say, hey, if I don't spank you, the police gonna beat you. Now, which one you prefer? So that's what I got on to say. Um, if coach was there, you could emphasize on it. Um, it just,
Actually, actually, I love, love, love what you've said. And you are such a blessing. I wish all mothers could be like that. Because as we were saying before, you were friends with your child or with your children, but also you instilled discipline,
yeah,
but also you had rules, which
yes,
when
we
they were
did.
not met, you ensured that there were consequences.
Yes,
See, so you encompassed around all the skills that here and now this generation is missing.
yes, very well so.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad, Um, just today, I was out grocery shopping. My mother, 20, I think she about 22. The kid about 5 years old. Why is your kid cursing you?
Oh.
And I asked her, said, well, we talk like that in the house. I said, oh, I see why.
Mm-hmm.
That is very disrespectful because you're not teaching your child respect. If it curse you, it'll curse me.
Yep.
And I am not for that because I was raised in a home with no cursing.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, cursing just goes all through me, especially you curse a child.
Oh yeah.
That child don't know no better.
Mm-hmm.
Don't curse it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can find better words than a curse word. My 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 daddy wasn't high educated, but he said reason the person curse a person because they can't find a better word to do so.
True.
So therefore, we didn't get. I'm not trying to make it a better this or better. This just my true raising,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And believe me, I got plenty of spanking now. I do.
And
But
I agree with that. I would do the same thing too. All my friends who ask me to babysit, that's the first conversation I have with them before babysitting for the first time. Like, are you okay with me disciplining the child? Because if you're leaving your child with me, believe me, I will discipline them. And then
yes,
come tell you, oh, this happened and we handled it this way. And, we're good. Because I would do the same thing with my child.
right.
Right. Do you see how some people it kills me to see people in their stores when kids throw tantrums and they get really agitated. This is to show that as a parent, I'm also not at a good place to handle these tantrums.
And the reason that it teed me up because she laughed. A 5-year-old cursing that way, and he didn't say a small curse word. He said a word that I would ever say, but that's how they raise their children in the home. So I didn't. intervene.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna have a hard time with that kid.
Sylvia said because we all try to see how far they will go.
How far they will go?
Children test you.
Of course.
You're right. You're right. I got tested many a days.
Mm-hmm.
And then my kids. I had that type of eye. And I give them. They know what mama mean.
Mm.
No, that come from the old school.
Yep.
Um, or if I said
Mm-hmm.
That go for me too.
that come from the old school.
But
my
she said,
my
yeah.
mother used to just reposition her glasses, and then everybody would know. Oh boy, trouble.
Yes. Or either I lean their head one side.
Hmm.
When they get in the car, they be very quiet. So, but the punishment still comes.
Oh yeah.
Because if I let this pass, you'll think I'll let the next one pass.
Yep.
So that will be more lighter punishment than, something they got in deep trouble with. I
Mm-hmm.
may take the boombox back in those days. I may take their record player back in those days and take phone privilege.
Yep.
So, it's just that you don't have to use the rod every time.
Yes.
But when you done told them and said it many times, it's time to put the rod on them.
Exactly.
Because now you testing me. You
Mm.
don't got used to that little light punishment. Now I got to put the rod. Let you know that I am really meaning what I say.
Yeah.
So,
I
but that's
totally
all
agree.
I got on to say. And about the young children are having young children these days, and the things that the children are growing up saying, they think it's funny. But then when they get to school age, there's a problem. So I didn't teach them at home. I didn't know no better. I thought it was funny. But see, the teacher's not going to think it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
So you must learn how to discipline your child without abuse. There is abuse and there is spanking. So I don't believe in abuse, but I do believe in spanking.
Yep.
So
And I agree. I do believe in spanking as well, but there has to be a boundary even in me as a caregiver or as a parent, knowing that okay, when I'm too mad, I can't spank. When I'm
that's mother
exact
always said that.
yeah. When I'm
You
too
be
mad, walk away, calm
yeah,
down, and then if you really need to spank, then come when you're very calm. Then you will do it right. But if you handle it when you're really angry, then that will definitely be abusive, and you won't even realize it when you're doing it then.
right. My mother always said you never spank a child when you're angry.
Hmm.
You will hurt them.
Hmm.
And and that was so true. When I got upset, I just walked away. I'll deal with you later.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Joyce says something interesting. She said she said they pick up from from their parents. And one of my things was with the younger generation is that they model after their parents. This is why you always hear me say, the young parents, when mothers are trying to dress like daughters, when fathers are running around with their pants hanging all down and all this other stuff. They're children. I don't quite think they understand that their children are paying attention and that they're setting a bad example for the child. And this causes a lot of the social problems today. And it's because, to me, in my point of view, is soft parenting. But what I want you ladies to see, I see some other ladies has chimed in. I want you ladies to give me your point of view and talk about, what do you think about time out? Is that soft parenting, or is that just an escape?
Well, I don't think it's an escape because, like mom also mentioned, that um, if I'm angry, then I'm not in a suitable place to handle or express myself accordingly. So, what will make me think that my child would be in a position to handle or express themselves adequately when they're angry? So, timeout is actually teaching the child, like, okay, take some time out to relax, calm down, take a deep breath, and then we will talk about it after. It's actually teaching a skill, according to me. But if I just tell them time out and then I don't explain after that, then it's useless. It's doing more harm than good. But if I tell them time out, you're going to stay there for this long or until this happens, until you calm down and you can use your words correctly, then we can talk about it. If I come back to you and I still see that you're panting or you're not using your words correctly, we're going to continue the timeout. So again, this thing of timeout, if you're 7 years, then you're going to stay there for 7 minutes. For me, it's not practical. For me, it's each child. A child might take 7 minutes, another one may take 20 minutes to calm down. So we're going to work with their timing, where they are. And if we start at 20, believe me, as we go on, it's going to get better and the span will be shorter as we go on.
Yes.
Personally,
I believe in timeout. Uh, the way I did timeout, we had a chair. If my daughter is throwing a tantrum, um, I tell her it's time to go to timeout. So she knew that chair was timeout. So, say for instance, I'm gonna start with the younger. If she's 3 years old, I will tell her now, I'm using my baby girl. Joe Michelle, you got to sit in this chair for 3 minutes because you did this and this and this, which was wrong. So mama gonna have to teach you not to do this anymore. That's why you got to sit in time out. So of course, they're gonna twist around and say, "Oh, mom, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." I said, "But you still got to do time out. Your 3 minutes is not up. When your 3 minutes is up, then you can get out the chair." And then with my older kids, it might seem cruel. I don't think it was cruel. Um, we had carpet, and I would sometimes I didn't whoop them, pick up the lint off the floor, gather all the lint that you see on the floor at a certain minute of time, and then when you finish, let me see how much lint you got. Okay, your time is over. You don't do that again. But I will always explain why I am doing a certain thing. So, and also I had you bow on your knees like you're praying, and you got to stay there for a certain length of time.
Mm.
It, this was just when my kids were small, but when the older kids, you had to get a little harsher with uh, timeout punishment. That's when I started taking away phones and boom boxes and stuff like that. But I do believe in timeout.
Your daughter-in-law, Rose says yes. Hitting and etc. will not necessarily always work. Timeout allows for a thought process.
Yes, and it also allows you to get yourself together too,
Mhm.
because actually the kid done got on your nerve for one thing. So now you got to get into timeout. Especially me as a parent working 12 hours a day and still got to babysit a child too. And then, the rest of the kids are going to school.
Mm.
It was rough, but we made it.
Mhm.
So, like I said, I didn't spank for everything and I didn't punish for everything.
Andrea says she put
Put
herself
herself
in
in
timeout.
timeout. Well, actually, it is that way.
Yeah.
Because once you put that kid in timeout, you can get your nerve relaxed.
Mhm. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So that was true, Andrew.
Mhm.
Because once I put her in timeout, I can go wash dishes. I can sit back. I can peep and see she's still sitting in that chair and still do what I got to do. By then, her time is up. I done calm down.
Yep. Yep.
So, in overall, what do you ladies think that constitute soft parenting?
I think soft parenting is
Yeah,
a
Robert, you
combination.
put your husband in timeout. Mine do.
Listen at him.
Yes, Robin. Yes. Mom, did you see that? We're not gonna say it out loud so that Uncle
Yeah,
Joe
I
doesn't
said,
see that.
Hey, I'm surprised Rose didn't fill the chat up with
her time out.
I think it is soft parent. To me, it's still part of soft parenting. Like I said, I think soft parenting is including all these skills, like what you said, ma'am, with collecting lint. Um, right now, they're advocating for the same thing, but calling it different. They call it now redirecting. So we redirect to it's literally the same thing.
Yeah,
We
Andrea, you need to
redirect
stop.
to give it some time for them to focus on something else, and then when we come back to this situation, we already calm down. Isn't that the
right,
same thing? And that's why I was saying that it's really how we look at these laws. It's how we interpret them. But
right.
originally why they were put there is to avoid havoc. But we just ran with them the wrong direction with understanding them differently, and now it's like this.
The I don't want to say thing out of turn, but back in the day, back when they used to have the mamas in the white home, they became nannies, right?
Hmm.
That child be the most mountable child it is.
Bingo.
Mm.
Why? why that white child is so mannerable.
Um, I don't know exactly. I think it's because I don't know.
Well, I well, you was raised in Africa, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was raised here,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm quite know a few more was raised here because that black mother is over that child,
Mm.
and that black mother is raising that child just the way she raised hers. Respect, manners, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
The white mother had nothing to do with her child until she went out.
Mm.
Understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then back in the day when they taken discipline out the home, it looked like they took it out because the white parents that noticed that that black mother, their child is more mannerable than the one that didn't have a nanny in the house.
Mm.
Now back from my day coming along, it was more whites in prison than blacks. But once the rule was taken out of the home, it it flipped the screen, flipped the scene. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
now there are more blacks in prison than white.
Mm.
You know, I'm not trying to be prejudiced or anything, but it's just there because I come through it.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The the Negroes was always prayerful, mannerable, and respect.
Mm.
And seemed like once they learned that, they wanted to take away from us.
Mm.
Because now the script done flip. There's more us in jail than them, you know, they outside now.
Ooh, I have
What
a
give?
lot to say on that, but okay.
What give?
Yeah, I see what you mean. And if I respond to that, it's going to take this discussion in a different direction, so I will not.
Well, you don't have to go there. I'm just
Yeah.
take that off the table.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I see what you mean, yes.
Just take that off the table.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, things are very different from when I was coming through than now.
Yeah. Well, in Africa, you would, I honestly, I do not remember seeing a child in the store with a parent misbehaving like that. Not even once as I was growing up, or not even once. Because not only your parent was allowed to discipline you, but if your parent was looking away and another person saw that, they have every right to discipline you right there and then.
That was the same way with us.
Yeah.
Like I said, it took a community to raise a child.
Hmm. But now to each his own. So
Yes.
the lines are very blurry because of that.
Coach,
Yes.
how different? I'm glad you brought that. I'm glad you brought that up.
Hmm.
When I was talking about the law and the law stepping in on uh, rendering what it did to take discipline out of the home, African discipline was across the board the same from generation to generation, from tribe to tribe, correct?
Yes, correct.
How would you compare the discipline from our homeland to the discipline here in the United States?
Oh, well,
Salt or
for here it's extremely perceived differently. Like I said, I think we just call it different, but we still do it here. Because like mom said, I mean, go collect lint. My mother used to tell us, okay, go sweep the whole block. Like, do you know how big the block is? Like,
Ooh.
you, and
Oh my goodness.
when each parent sees you do that, they'll be like, you missed a spot right there. Go on, go do it. Because they know your own punishment.
Yes.
So is it a different thing? No, we're just trying to sugarcoat it. But it's the same thing. I think what we're doing is misinterpreting the law. And in a class of 50 people, they're taught the same thing. Each one of them will understand differently. And that's what we're doing right now. This generation is understanding things differently, but the discipline is meant to be very similar. Not exactly the same, but very similar. Does that answer it, Uncle Joe?
yeah. Well, I guess I would have to. Okay, I hear
I
you
gotta
when you
go check
say.
the food.
I hear you when you say very similar. Go ahead.
I got y'all excuse me, I'm cooking at the same time.
Oh, okay.
I hear you when you say similar. I have to push back a little bit on the similar.
Mhm.
I see, and if you guys see something different out there in the chat, then please speak up. Let us know. Uh, I see the law is different, and I hear you, and trust me, I get it when you say I think we're interpreting the law in probably the wrong way that it was intended. But I do see a difference
Mhm.
in the law. Why do I say I see a difference? Is one of the reasons is because I heard you when you say that was the law there
Mhm.
for that to take place. That's why I pushed back. That's why I pushed back on that.
Mm, mm. Well, back
Did I misunderstand? Did
well,
I misunderstand anything?
well, not quite. But back in Kenya, you're right, actually. Back home, I saw very many parents, especially when we were teenagers. They could actually call the cops for you to go to the cell for a couple of days if you did something really wrong. And they would come pick you up, go to the cell until your parents are ready to deal with you. That's very much allowed. And that is to mean that the law is actually for you to discipline this child. Like it's better to discipline at that age other than this becomes a behavior that in future it's going to get worse. Now, the difference with that here is when a child, if I call cops that my child did something like that, I honestly don't think they would support me that way. If I went to my neighbors to ask them, okay, I am done with my child and I just need help this way, I don't even know two people who would support me that way. here. But back in Kenya, I would just knock to the next door and say, is the father to so and so here? Yeah, I need help with my child. And no question asked. Okay, what do you need? Like that would be sorted. And some behaviors were just not seen because the child would know it's not acceptable in anywhere in the society. But here, all these behaviors are okay, it's not my child, so we're gonna accept it. So that's the difference I see.
Male involvement
Hmm.
is I'm getting that correctly.
Yes. Yes.
And I was waiting. I was waiting. I was hoping we could have got around to that earlier because I was sitting back. Remember I told you I had lost my thought.
Mm-hmm.
uh, that was the thing. Do we find soft parenting because of single parenting home and not two parent?
It's a great, my opinion is it's a great contributor to that because most single mothers have the need to compensate and they feel guilty to some extent and they want to compensate that. And the best way or the default way to compensate it is to be soft with the children because we think we already hurt them or we've broken them or something. And then we become way too soft. And I'm not saying that women are doing a wrong thing or single parenting is wrong. No, I'm just saying this is one of the great contributor.
Okay. And in my observance, I see that in a very strong way of soft parenting. Um, there are some strong parenting on single women raising male children. We hear it all the time. A woman cannot raise a boy to be a man. It needs to have some kind of interaction with the male counterpart, uh, preferably an alpha male, to help with the raising of uh, that male child. I don't see it, but I'm going to pose it as a question.
Mm.
Do you see that as ladies? Do you see that as soft parenting or just not knowing how to parent?
I am a strong believer of I cannot teach my sons how to be men, but I can give them tools how to make decisions and how to think for themselves. But I'm not a man. I do not know how men reason. And for example, right now I'm dating someone and one of the things we are cultivating is tell me this is what I'm saying. Okay, this is what you said. This is what I'm hearing. And that is to acknowledge that his brain and my brain process things differently, as they should. So sometimes the same situation put on the table, he will look at it differently, I will look at it differently. Can I make my son see things from my perspective? Probably no. Probably I'll never do that. But when another man has that same situation that they need to agree on or they need to teach them, they will come to a resolution way faster. So that's my opinion.
What do you guys think about that out there in the chat? Do you believe that a woman, a single female, trying and I posed that to Coach because I knew Coach was a single mother, and I know Coach's character, uh, and she operates a little different than most. But if we listen, at my tablet want me to turn it on. Haley, if we look at it from a parenting standpoint and we look at the value of that, then what are we? Are we labeled or are we considered into uh, being soft parents, or are we looking at being, you know, just a parent with no clue? And I know Andrea, I know she's probably bouncing back and forth because I know I see Showtime has signed in, and she's probably doing double duty. Um, uh, but it's a question that's often that's raised a lot, and I just wanted to get that in there. Okay, Andrea said there, Coach Andrea said there are some things that a man has to teach.
I agree.
Um, I agree with you 100%, Andrea.
I agree.
Uh, when it comes down to men, and here is I was waiting, and thank you for responding because I have to put this there. When a female is raising a male child,
Mhm.
there is dominance
Mm.
missing. A female is more softer, and I say this, and she's probably not gonna feed me tonight. I'm gonna probably have to run out to McDonald's to get me a cheeseburger. Uh, my son, uh, my wife's favorite. Uh, you know, she only got two boys, and we had lost one. I won't get into that, but the one that she raised wind up being her favorite, and I always thought she was soft on him than she was on the girls, and vice versa. She always thought I was softer on the girls than on my son.
Mhm. And
Feedback.
that's normal. That's absolutely normal because girls kind of know how to manipulate daddy, and boys kind of have the same response to mommy. And as a woman, I will see my daughters. I want to believe I would see my daughters do some things, and I'm like, I know what you're thinking. We're not going there before they even implement it. But for a guy, I would think this is where he's gonna end up. And they shock me because they're thinking the exact opposite direction. But if there was a male figure, they would know because they reason in a similar way. The truth of the matter, Uncle Joe, is a male brain and a woman brain are created differently, regardless of what we want to believe. The fact is, they are different. So we are forever going to process things differently. Hence, I'm a strong believer of that fact that I cannot teach them how to be boys.
It's a daddy's girl. Never tried my mom. Crying, crying to my dad, and I have his heart. If you talk to any one of my girls, they will tell you that they had daddy's heart,
Hmm.
but they will also tell you daddy didn't play. Um, I kind of was a one-dimensional parent. I didn't care if it was my daughter, my son. I raised them all the same. I treated them all the same, all except for my baby girl.
That's what I was about to say. But
She
first,
got away with some doo doo.
first, first lady would agree with me when I say this. I'm sure there's some times that she thought that you are doing too much for your daughters, like way too much than is
Yeah,
necessary. And I don't expect you to have noticed that, because to you, you were thinking, I'm a protector. This is what she needs from me, you know, all from a good
correct.
place.
Uh, Mama Ruth, in our household, there there was no biological or siblings. It was all one. Uh, my wife had two. I had two. We had. I had three. Well, actually, I had five. She had two. Um, we lost two. Um, but we in our household there was no difference. There was no halves. It was all whole, and that's the way we've operated over the 40 years. Uh, that was just our way because to me, well, and to her both, and thank God our children understood. They don't even consider themselves as halves. They consider themselves as whole.
Mhm.
Um, Eliminate the conflict to get the parenting consistent to not being soft parents is is completing, is making it when we accepted one another, we accepted everything that came with it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
uh what was mine was hers, what was hers was mine, etc., etc., etc. And that's how we found it uh, uh, in our repertoire to parent together uh, this way. Because see, when you start putting differences and separating biological from etc., uh, then in my opinion, and coach, I want to hear your point on this, you cause chaos and cause disruption.
I agree with you 110%. However, the reality of things right now is most parents, by default, they tend to react differently with the children that are not biologically theirs, because it takes a lot of intentionality for these both parents to look at things the way you're saying it. Intentionality and communicating amongst themselves. And most of us don't get there right now, making it really hard for the children. Yeah.
Very, very interesting point. See, that's why I got coach here. She can bring some things to reality because it's like anything. And coach, you can let me know if you agree or disagree.
Mhm.
Parenting, regardless of how you look at it, whether you feel it's soft or not soft, parenting is parenting.
Mm-hmm.
And we do the best that we can to give our children the best opportunity at being the best in society that they can be.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much of what society expects of them,
Mm-hmm.
but what they can bring to society to have, to have society appreciate them. And that comes from my side, my point of view. It comes from strong parenting. And when we become soft, then we give our children the license to do what they want to do the way they want to do it. That's my take on it for tonight. Coach, I'm going to let you have last words. Uh, Express in any way that you feel that you want to express it. And I will close off with my last comment. I would close off with the quote uh, from Z is that the way you discipline your child and what works best for your family is entirely up to you. It's your expectation of your child. If you want to be a soft parent, then expect the consequences to be strong, deep.
Mm-hmm.
If you want your child to be all, as an army can say, that they can be, then be a strong parent.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's okay. You heard my wife say they had girls' night out. I mean, girls' day every Saturday. Every Friday we had family day. Every other Friday, each one of the kids had their preference to pick. We would laugh, we would joke, we would have fun. But the strong parenting, I'm going to say, and Coach will probably use a better word. The strong parenting shows healthy life than the soft parenting, because the strong parenting sets your child up for success. Soft parenting sets your child up for failure. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Coach. Coach, you can have the last word, and then we will dismiss for this evening.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Uncle Joe. I don't think I really like the word soft because just because I discipline them and I use a cane or punishments, it doesn't mean that I'm not soft. To me, I can do all that as long as I'm in a healthy place and I'm intentional with what I want to achieve. So I'm a strong believer of I can only give what I have. And so as a parent, if I'm not mentally, emotionally, spiritually aligned, then of course I'm going to transfer the chaos to my child or the child I'm taking care of. So it goes back to where am I as a caregiver? That's my strong belief. Yep. And thank you for having me today.
Oh, Coach, you ain't. No, I need to thank you for accepting the invitation and being here with us tonight. Uh, well, family, there you have it. Part two. Has parents gone too soft? Again, we apologize to the other streaming networks because we could not set it up. Next time, Coach,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have you join us over on the VMUC side. I will send you what needs to be done. You ain't gotta pay for nothing. It's just having the app. Because when they have it for all of the those that got the app, they don't have to have a subscription. That way, when I invite them, they can come on, and then that way all the networks are connected in together there, so they can hear better. It's hard when I got TikTok here and without that connection. Last time it worked out beautiful when we did part one.
Okay.
But I will upload. I will edit this. I will upload it in its full entirety onto our YouTube channel and our Facebook channel. If you want to go back, if you want to listen to it, if you missed any of it, you can go to YouTube to Elder Joe Smith Sr. and you can subscribe over there, or you can just go to Joe Smith Sr. on Facebook. And just if it don't play, just send me an invite. I'll invite you so you can have access, and you can get it there. All right. I apologize to our pod stream networks over there because there's no way we can upload videos over there because everything is strictly live. And when a goof happens, that's what happens with live video, and that it just lost. I will instruct them tomorrow. They can thank God for YouTube that they can go to YouTube and they can watch it. Again, Coach, with all of my gratitude on behalf of the First Lady elect and myself, we want to thank you. You already know how much we love you. You've been with this family for so long. Uh, uh, Man, I just miss you, and I miss when I don't see you. But I know you've been dealing with school
Mm-hmm.
and and some other personal stuff, and so I'm just glad to be able to have you on here with us tonight. Thank you. A special shout out to the Mod Squad, to New Vision Mod Squad. What a beautiful job you guys done. It was awesome. Thank you for an awesome broadcast on tonight. Amen. So hopefully I will see you all tomorrow at some point if you can. And Andrea, man, I found something new. We had an awesome time at the afternoon uh, uh, gospel vibe today. It was awesome. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I saw Show when he signed in. So if you got to go over there and do your thing, thank you so much, as always, for your loyalty, your dedication, and your hard work. Um, Thanks to all of the moderators. Amen. Go ahead and tell them what we say at the end of all broadcasting before you go. Um, Again, thank you. We're not going to play our closing introduction tonight because it do have to go um, to YouTube, and YouTube will, if there's any music in there, YouTube will kick it back because of copyright community laws. So we're just gonna say God bless you, thank you, And as Andrea has put up over there, that is our motto. That is our saying here at New Vision. Amen. If God can't go, don't you go. Amen. I will do just that. I'll make sure I tell the First Lady. She's in there trying to get supper together. We ran late, so and the show was so good. I didn't want to stop it at the time that we normally stop it. So God bless you all, and you all be blessed on tonight, and hopefully, if God's will, we will see you all tomorrow afternoon. God bless and good night.